Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Okay. Great. So for today, we will continue on our discussion for the lecture. But before we start, I would like to inform all of you in Form B, your midterm test should be conducted in week 7. Okay, I think I have not announced it to you all. The midterm test for this course will be conducted in week 8. Okay, midterm test for this course will be conducted in week 8, and let me check if it's online. It should be online. Anna, let me open from. I haven't told you about that, right? The week 8, week 8, week 8. The next week. Dapat again. Oh, the coming midterm, no, not next week. So you for database also for this like course, it's in week 8. Yeah. So for this course, HCI, the midterm test will be online, which is open book test. It will be conducted during lecture. Okay, so means on Wednesday at this time in week 8. I will put announcement in the classroom later on. So it should be very blanco. 9 of March. 9 of March. Okay? During lecture time. Yeah? Yeah. So I will post announcement in the Google Classroom later on. Okay? So the format, the format of the, the format of the test, it's because it's open book test. It will be like similar to your tutorial, but more like you're given a scenario. You're given a scenario, and you will need to discuss on the scenario and give your own opinion based on the theories and the concept that you have learned from chapter 1 until chapter 5. Okay, so there will be only one question with one scenario, and you will have question 1A and question 1B, and the total mark would be 30 marks. Okay, 30 marks. So that's the actual mark for the midterm test. The assignment is 70 marks. So for your coursework, you will have midterm test 30 marks. Your project, your assignment is 70 marks. Total is 100. Okay. So I repeat for the format. For the format, we have one question. It's a scenario. You're given a scenario, maybe regarding development of an app, development of an application, and then you will answer question based on the scenario that is given. Okay, so clear about that?
Okay.
And okay, so now we start on discussing chapter 5 for today, chapter 5. So we will now look at the UI design, guidelines, and principles. Okay, so I hope you have made progress for your project. Okay, I hope you have made progress for your project. Please do all the tasks that you have not completed in the previous weeks, right? So this is chapter 5. We'll discuss on the guidelines and principles for user interface design. Okay, so first we want to understand what is interaction model. Okay, so interaction model here it will help us to understand communication between the user and the system. So basically, we want to have this interaction model where we will understand the communication of two ways between user and the system. So before we propose a design solution, we must first know the problem, right? So in your when you describe your persona at the first at the early stage, we have looked at the problems that your system want to look into or your system want to solve, right? So this interaction model will help us to identify the problem space. So we look at what are the problem with the current interface, if any, and then what the users find difficult when they're using the current system, and what are the functionality that the users want. Okay, so this one I think is familiar to you. You already when you already do this problem statement in your when you do your persona explanation, and whether all users have the same requirements. Okay, so depending on your app, depending on your system, does all users will want the same requirement. So depending on if your user are students, you refer to students requirement. If your user are adults, so you refer to adults requirement. Okay, so for this lecture, we will look at interaction model by Donald Norman's model. Okay, so the interactive cycle it can be divided into two major phases. So we have the execution and evaluation phase. Okay, so for this Donald Norman's model, we have seven stages. Okay, seven stages. We have user establishes the goal, and then formulate the intention, and then specifies the actions at the interface, and then execute the action, perceive system state, and then it interprets the system state. And the last one is evaluating system state with respect to the goal previously. Okay, so before we proceed to discuss on the seventh step in the normal model, so you need to understand what are these few keywords. So we have the first one goal, intention, and action. Okay, so goal is what you want to achieve, right? For example, here like you want to invite a friend to lunch. So it's your goal. You want to invite your friend to lunch, and then you have and then after you decide what you want, what is your goal? The goal is to invite your friend to the lunch. So the intention here is where you think of various method on how to invite your friends to lunch. Like maybe you text them, you use a voice call, or maybe you email them. Okay, so these are types of intentions. So after you decided on you pick one intention, so here, for example, you pick texting, right? So after you decided to text them, you will go to the next part, which is action. Okay, so you pick up the phone, you unlock your phone, and then you open the messaging app, and then you send out the message. Okay, so these are the three keywords that you need to understand before we proceed to discuss further into the Norman's model. Yeah, so for these goals, it does not specify particular action. You just want to invite your friend to lunch, but you don't specify how to do this, right? So goal is very straightforward. Like it's fixed. Like you want to invite a friend to lunch. That's it. Okay, so goal and intention do not have one-to-one relationship. So your goal can be one, but your intention can be many, right? So let's say here your another example is that your goal is to delete a text. Okay, so intention can have two. Yeah, you can get the delete text. You can have the delete function from the edit menu, or you can do this goal. You can achieve this goal by just press on your delete key on your keyboard. Okay, so that is what mean with this do not have a one-to-one relationship. Okay, so you can have one goal, but you can have many intention. Okay, so every intention will involve a sequence of action, right? Where if you use edit menu, so you need to hover your cursor to the edit menu and then you find the delete button, right? And also similar to goes to this situation here, where the action is you pick up a phone, you unlock, right? So action can be sequence of actions, sequence of activity. Yeah. So let's now look at the first step in the Norman model. So we have execution and evaluation. These are the seven steps. Okay. So the normal model actually refers to this figure here. So first you will have the goal, and then we'll have the execution, and then we go to the system and we have the evaluation. So here is where the seven steps are scattered. Okay, so you have number one, user establishes the call, and then you execute it, you formulate the intention, and then you specify actions at your system's interface, and you execute the actions. And then you go to evaluation phase, whereby you perceive the system state, the current state of the system after you have done the action, and then you interpret the system state after you do the action. And number seven, you evaluate the system state with respect to goal. Okay, so you evaluate the system by referring back to your goal. Okay, so when we are using this Norman's model, we have these two gulf, okay, gulf of execution and gulf of evaluation. So this is just a theory or a concept whereby with these two with these two gulfs, it differentiate between systems. Some system can be harder to use, and some system can be easy to use. Okay, so like for example, here we have the gulf of execution. So the user's formulation of action does not necessarily be the same with what the action allowed by the system. Okay, for example, like the example just now, when you want to invite your friend to lunch, right? And then your action would be texting. Your intention is texting, and then your action is you open your mobile phone. Uh, so maybe let's say, for example, like if you have this gulf of execution, maybe your mobile phone, you don't have any texting app, for example. That's an example. So everything that you think of that you want, your intention and your formulation of action in your mind does not always allowed by the system. Okay, so the next one is the gulf of evaluation. So the user's expectation, our own expectation of the system state is not always the same with the actual presentation of the system of this state, contribute state. Okay, so our expectation not necessarily always the same with what we have for it will not always be presented by the system. So the gulf of evaluation, it's a distance between the physical presentation of the system state and the expectation of the user. So the user expects something else, and then the system give you something else, right? So that's explanation for these two. So we can say these are the challenges of this Norman's model. So here it's showing you the gulf of execution, okay, from the Norman models. and the gulf of evaluation. So each of the seven stages are good for checking that the gulf of execution and evaluation are bridged. Okay, bridge meaning to say we want to reduce the gaps between this gulf. Okay, we want to at least reduce the gap between the gulf um, in HCI. Okay, so here example like how easily can one determine the function of the device, and then tell what actions are possible, determine the mapping from intention to physical movement, you perform the action, and then tell what state the system is in, and determining mapping from system state of interpretation to interpretation, and tell if the system is in desired state. So H, HCI aim to reduce the gap between these goals. Okay, so at least we want to make sure that our design will will remove this gulf. Okay, so your action should be allowed by the system. Your expectation should be the same as the actual presentation of your system. Okay, so the next part also, this is a book of this expert in HCI. He has these two books. Can try to find the book for this if you want. So we are referring to this the concept that was invented by this expert. Hold on, give me a second. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, I need to reply this message. Okay. So now, okay, yeah, okay. So now we will look at some guidelines and principles for UI design. Okay, so we are now at design prototype. Okay, this part we already studied the uses and the task, and now you are for during practical we have done the we have done the what is it the proto storyboard. Okay, you have done the storyboard, and should have um, you should have drafting your storyboard. So we will look at how some guidelines to design your UI and how to evaluate your UI. Okay, and then we have another golden rules for this UI design. Snyderman's Snyderman's. We will look at each one of these for how to achieve a good UI design. Okay, basically the ideas on how to achieve a good representation of UI. Okay, so we look at all these eight golden rules. Okay, so we go to the first one. So strive for consistency. So when you design your system, you should apply this consistency in your design. Like for example, your action should be in similar situation. Like when you have a button, when you have a button login. So let's say you use the font Times New Roman. So you go to other page, your button your other button should also use the same font type, for example. Okay, so you should have identical terminology that you use in prompt, menus, and help screens. Okay, so meaning to say you have a consistency. So let's take this an example. Mm, so like this one, right? This example of menu button for several type of application in Mac OS. So this is for Keynote. So this is for Keynote, and then another app in used in Mac OS, Safari, Transmit, and Logic Pro. So if you notice, the placement of the menu, the sub menu, are all at the similar position, right? So you have the name of the app, the name of the software, and then file will always be at the most left side of the screen. File, and then you have edit, the second one, and then you have view. Okay, so maybe here because the rest don't have format, it is put at the other end, and then window always at the end. Okay, so that when user use your system, they have this like they have this like from the experience, or you open Keynote, the window is here at the end, and then you open Safari, you will have this trait where you will you will believe that the software will also present window at the end. Okay, so let's say for example, like it doesn't happen that way. Like the Safari did not put this window here. Let's say it's under file, for example. So user can be frustrated because of that, because like the other software it's over here, but why at this software uh, it's not positioned at the same place. Okay, so similar goes to the design of Microsoft Office. So if you notice the design of Microsoft Office for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, this one are the previous version, and if I'm not mistaken, lama punya, I think this one Microsoft 20, 2019. No, 2019. No, yeah, so this one is the previous interface of Microsoft Office. So if you notice, everything has a similar view. Okay, so that it has its own identity. Other than identity, it also helps users to to manage the software that they are using. Like they know where to go. So home is at the same place, right? Insert also at the same place. So it helps user to use their experience to apply it to when they use similar software. Okay. So next we have the second rules, enable frequent users to use shortcut. Okay, so shortcut here when you design your system, the user like they tend to use shortcuts so that they can do their work faster. So as the frequency of use increases, so do the users desire to reduce the number of interaction and increase the pace of interaction. So they want to have some sort of shortcut so that they can do their work faster. Okay, so you can use abbreviation, you can use function keys, you can use hidden commands and also macro facilities. Yeah, but this one are more for expert user, right? And then this is showing you this figure here showing you the levels of shortcuts. So level one, you can go to file and then you just click on copy. Level two of shortcut, you can use Control C, Control V. So this one is for Mac OS. Okay, then for Mac OS. Then level 3, you can use select and drag. Okay, so in Mac OS you can do this. You can select the text from any website, and you can drag it and you can put it at other apps. Okay. Uh, do you all have any um, experience using Mac OS? Anyone using Mac OS?
No,
Noel, you use Mac OS? MacBook.
not just iPad only.
Mhm. Okay, so if no, yeah, if you have not seen how MacBook works, if you like have transition, let's say tiba-tiba you got a present of MacBook example lah kan, kalau para example lah. So you have been using Windows for your life, then you don't have any experience using MacBook. Okay, so maybe you will have, because the systems are different, so the view of the apps you have also have different functionality, different. It will give you different interaction, right? So for because you all has always been using Windows, so you might, when you like transition to use MacBook, Mac OS, you will find that you will use the shortcuts that we use in Windows in Mac OS, whereby it will not function. Okay, so that's why my point here is that your past experience also important when you want to design your system. Okay, so that's why for when you design your system for your project, you need to know your user, why why you indicate what is the machine or what is the smartphone that your user use. Okay, so let's say if you want to design for Apple user, for example, so you need to look at how Apple present their design, and then you suit your design to macOS design, right? So similar goes to the shortcuts. And then we have this one. This one I will not explain this. This one actually an example. This one is from macOS. Basically, some this is the functionality that you can also find in macOS. But this one, I believe, is a previous macOS version. Okay, so the next golden rules of a Schneiderman, you need to offer informative feedback. Okay, so for every operator action, like you have some, like the usual where you finish keying in all the details, or maybe for booking, and already key in for like to access activities, right? So you need to provide feedback so that the user know that, oh, I already done the thing, right? So for frequent and minor actions, the response can be modest, or while for infrequent and major actions, the response should be more substantial. Okay, so like this one, right? The example here, the cursor here shows you that if you use this edge of the picture, it will drag and make your picture bigger. If you put at the side, it will stretch your figure, and similar goes to this one. Okay, so this shows that you give feedback to the user, telling them what they can do with this function. All right. So system should have a meaningful and clear reaction. So frequent action like click, loading, scrolling, icon changes, animations. So this type of feedback, it shows small changes in the system. And then a type of major changes, you can use like page changes, color changes, or alert windows. So feedback, it should be immediate to prevent the system from looking slow. Like for example, when you click on submit button, okay, after submit you should directly get the response of submitted, something like that, right? So you need to design a feedback whereby you inform the user what have been that the system already get what you input into the system, okay, and make sure that feedback is immediate to prevent that uh, showing that if to prevent that your system looking slow. Okay, the next rules is that you design dialogue to yield closure. Okay, so let's say, example, when you do e-commerce, in e-commerce, like buying things on website, or maybe like order, like you want to schedule for a movie tickets, example, you want to buy movie tickets. So there will be a sequence of actions, right? Like you log in, and then you select your movie, select the day, select the time, and select your payment, right? So that are the sequences of action. So those actions should be organized into groups with a beginning, middle, and end. So informative feedback should be given at the completion of a group, and it will give the users a satisfaction of accomplishment. So also a sense of relief, and it gives indication that you can go to the next action, right? So example here, when you do a purchase, also when you purchase, when a purchase process is finished, you need to will display a thank you message, so that that means that you give feedback to the user that, okay, we have received your order, we proceed now, thank you, right? So you want to let the user knows that the user has done all that's needed, right? So this is an example of how you can use these rules in you designing your system. So here you have this action. So you have your cart, your basket cart, and then you pick your delivery and payment, and then you review and confirm, and then all done, right? And then this shows you um, a grouping of action. Okay, so similar goes to this one. You have the card, you have the checkout, and you provide receipt. Okay, so if you have used food panda or grab food or delivery or grab car, you also can notice this, that you, like, if you buy food, you pick, you want to buy grocer, or you want to browse grandma, or you want to browse grab food, right? So if you want to buy food, you go to grab food, and then you pick your restaurant, you pick your food, and then you pick your payment, and then up until you uh, click on order. Okay, so if you have experience on using those food delivery system, next time if you access it again, you try to see the actions that is done in that system. And then the next rule is offer simple error handling. So if an error is made, so the system, it should be able to detect the error, and uh, offer simple, comprehensible mechanism for handling the error. Yeah, right. So this one is an example of, I think this one is Microsoft project. What already? Microsoft that create this database. You know, I forgot already. Microsoft Access. Okay, so this is the view of Microsoft Access. Yeah, so this is Microsoft Access. So let's say you design a rules relationship between this overview ID and this ID. So you are given, or to not to Microsoft Access system. It's the third here. So Microsoft Access give you the error, like if they found that there is an error in your relationship, you will be given error handling message, right? So you cannot add or change a record because a related record is required in table overview. So this one it's very it's simple and it's you can understand that why this error happened. So it's actually also a tips for you when you want to create your design for your assignment for your project. You can use this type of error handling. Uh, you can show it in your prototype later on. Okay, so here it's very comprehensive and it tells you why the error happened, right? Okay, so another example here would be something like this and something like this. Okay, so Windows know this. So this one is not human readable, right? So you don't know what is the exact how do you how do you detect the error. Okay, it already mentioned here know this, but the explanation here like it's the only the computer will understand this, right? And then you can cancel, you can try again, or you can continue. It's up to you what button you want to include in your design. And also file and folder rename. So you cannot rename pictures because the file or folder with that name already exists. So it gives you solution. Okay, so this pop-up here give you a solution. You need to specify a different name, right? So that you know what to do next. Okay, uh, but this one it doesn't tell you what to do next. Okay, so you decide on your design how you want to give like how you want to help the user to understand what is the error that they face. So the next rule is to permit easy reversal of action. So this one is something like undo. Yeah. So this feature it relieves anxiety. Like maybe you accidentally deleted an item, you can provide reversal of action, which you provide a button or an option to undo the action, so that the user don't feel anxiety that they have accidentally deleted the item. Okay, so previously this reversal of action is not always included in the system, but nowadays I can see improvement in our system, especially for Gmail. Um, Gmail, if you like accidentally send out an email, you can still undo it in, if I'm not mistaken, in 5 seconds or 15 seconds. Okay, so this reversal of action also help user to be to be confident when they use your system. If they like make any um, any mistake, they know they will be able to undo the mistake. Okay. And then the next rules is that to support internal locus of control. So experienced operators or experienced user, they strongly desire that the sense that they are in charge of the system. Okay, so internal locus of control is whereby you want to design the system to make sure users the initiators of action rather than the responder. So you want to make the user the initiate the action rather than the responder. Okay, so means you use your internal locus of control when you want to use the system. So here you need to take this into consideration when you want to design your system. For example, like this one. Okay, so this one is a view from Mac OS, but this one also available in Windows. Always happen. Okay, if you enable the notification, to enable the notification of system update, you will see this, right? So you give the user like flexibility on how to do the how to install the update, right? So you can previously for Windows you don't have this option like I want to update now, the update must run now, don't shut down your PC, don't shut down your machine. Okay, those that was previously okay, but Microsoft already improved. They give some kind of um, choices. Okay, so you can try in an hour, you can try tonight, or you can remind me tomorrow. Okay, So this one is an example of internal locus of control. So you have the control towards your system. So you can allow this to user so that they are comfortable using your system. Okay. Okay, for this one, this is just an example of article whereby in Africa, when was this 2016? Um, Windows, like they donated a laptop for to be used by these rangers in a jungle. They use a satellite link to get internet, and then at the time whereby they run a mission whereby they the rangers go into the forest, and they but when they want to detect the movement of the illegal hunting in the forest, all the all the machines that they got from the from those donated laptops suddenly upgrading to Windows 10 automatically, means they cannot even change, like they don't even have these options. So what happened was that it it uh it uses everything on their it uses all the data over a radio link, and that time was using satellite. So the people, the rangers cannot be contacted because their bandwidth were used. Okay, so this is just an example of a real world where Windows 10 has the Windows update has affected these people. I guess we can refer to the full article from this link. And the next, so this is the last rule. So this one, reduce short-term memory load. We have discussed this previously. So you need to make sure that your design, your UI design, reduce short-term memory loads, which you can use chunking without C bahkan and then you use recognition rather than recall. Okay, so this one we have discussed in the previous lecture. So other than this Snyderman at Gordon rules for UI design, we also have the Norman's design principles. Okay, so we have several design principles for under these Normans under another expert. So this one, Snyderman is also another expert of HCI. So now we look at Norman's design principles. So some of the principles that you will see next, it might be similar to the previous one. Okay, because different researcher, right? So they can have similar ideas on how HCI should be, how HCI should implement UI design. Okay, so we go to the first one, visibility. So this visibility principle, it refers to the visibility of function and clear controls of information. Okay, so like say for example, like you want to use the bold function on Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint or maybe Microsoft Excel. So you can directly go to the menu and just click on it. So let's say if this B function or the bold function is like somewhere under the file menu, right? So you will not be able to, like, you don't even know that you can bold your text. Let's say if you're a new user. Okay. So another example here is this is a sensor any tap water. Um, I think you all also have experienced this, like in hotels. Some malls also use this sensor activation tap water. Okay, so like you don't know where to put your hand. Like mana ba air ni, ada air kan ni? Like you keep looking for the activation zone. So because the design does not show you where you should put your hand, right? So some pipe might show you where is it, where you should put your hand exactly. Some might not. Okay, So when it's out of sight, it makes you uh, difficult to find the feature, and you will not know how to use it. And then the next one is feedback. So this one is similar thing with Snyderman just now. So feedback is when you want to give information to the user, what action has been done and what has been accomplished after the user do something on the system. It can include sound. You can use highlighting. You can use animation or a combination of this or maybe others. Okay. And then the next principle is constraints. So constraint is when you restrict the kind of user interaction that can take place at given moment. So you want to prevent invalid data from being entered and prevent invalid action from being performed. Okay, so you look at constraints, whereby you decide on your decide on your UI design. You can also use this constraint, like for example, like this one, right? So you need this one is a VGA cable. You need to like follow the pins for you to be able to plug it in. Similar goes to this one. So there are two types of this USB. So you can use either this or this. So this one, I sometimes it's very hard to like to find the head, right. You don't know which side, like which side to put in. Okay, so most of the time you will put it in wrongly, right? So these are types of constraint, like for your UI design, you can set like maybe like for user that already make an order, they they cannot like they already make payment, you cannot go back. For example, so what you can do on your UI design is that you put a constraint on the payment button. You after it's clicked once, you put a constraint whereby it will be grayed out, means it cannot be clicked anymore. Okay, so that's an example of constraint in UI. And then another one is mapping. Under this Norman's design principle is mapping. So this one, it refers to the relationship between controls and their effects in the world. So this one example, like these knobs are for these four stuff. Okay, so if you design it like this, right, you don't know which is which. Okay, so better mapping of the stuff knob should be like this. Okay, so this way you will know, the user will know, this one is for this one is for the bottom one, this one is for this, and this one is for this, right? So mapping is helping you to help the user use their past experience to use your system better. Okay, so example of that is this one. So like for this is we go to this animation first. So this when you pay $25, right? But it gives you like shaking animation. Okay, so in our experience, we know that if it's shaking and it's red, that means something is wrong, right? So that's how you can apply mapping in your UI design, means to give like feedback to the user um, according to their past experience. Like if like it's shaking, means like it's no, cannot proceed, and it's moreover it's red and it's blinking, right? And then for this part here, so this one is referring to your experience. So when you use your keyboard, you always press up and down like this. Okay, so you will prefer to have this design rather than this design. Okay, because this design it's not familiar to you. You might uh, press wrong button, right? So this one is like it's more accessible and it's more understandable because you have been using it on your keyboard. Okay, similar thing when you do gaming, right? Your keyboard, like let's say today you play at your home, and next day you go to play at the cybercafe or at your friend's home. You will use your friend's keyboard, but your keyboard, the key on your keyboard is placement of your key on your keyboard is not the same with what you have at home and with what you have at your friend's home. So you will have difficulties on controlling your games due to the keyboard differences. Okay, so that is an example of past experience. And then another one is consistency. So this one is similar with the previous principles. So it refers to designing your UI to have similar operations. You use similar elements to achieve similar tasks to enhance learnability. Okay, so for each, like for your system, like every page should have the same font color. You should have the same button size, right? So you can apply this consistency to help your user enhance their learnability. And then affordance. So what is this affordance? So this is a term that's used to refer to an attribute of an object that allows people to know how to use it. Okay, for example, like this door, when you give like this, if it's like this, you need to push it. If you have this handle, you need to pull it, right? And then this one also, you take the blocks and you put it in where it belongs, right? So this is affordance. You give or you provide a UI that will allow people to know how to use it. So an example of that is this. Okay, so this is a visual affordance. So here you have a paper, right? The characteristic of paper, you can apa lipat? Fold. You can fold a paper like this, and you can apply this also to your smartphone, to your app. Okay, so this is something like this is from the real world experience converted to an app. Okay, so this is like paper fold. Okay, so you can apply this kind of things in your UI design. Also like this, you can include like um, more information on your design, like the pen, and then this is the like the for letter A, key for letter A, cancel, and then this one is to like to lower the volume, lower or make it maximize the volume and also gain. Okay, so basically for you to have an idea on how you use experiences in the real life, you convert it into the system so that the user like they like feel more comfortable when they are using the system. So those are the UI design guidelines according to Snyderman and also Norman. So you can also refer to this UI design guidelines. So I believe you will get more information on how you should design your UI from this website. You have Google Material Design Guidelines. You can refer to this. You can Google this. And then you have the iOS developer and also Microsoft Design Guidelines, right? So you can refer to this to have more understanding on how to do this. Okay, so another part of this lecture is we will be discussing on the techniques on how to draw users' attention when they are using your system. So you can use this blinking or flashing. You can use bold, you can use underlining, you can use sound, or you can use color in your UI design. So let's look at the first one, blinking and flashing. So usually this one is used to draw attention for urgent messages only. So previously, I think iOS. I'm not sure who started it yet first. But because I'm using iOS, so I know that this this feature is enabled in iOS, which you can blink your flash if you got a call or you have a message, right? So it is not suitable for long message because it will keep blinking and also for call. Okay, and it's annoying if using frequently if it's used frequently, right? So like previously when this function was introduced, like your even like my friend also using this blinking or flashing flashing feature. Like it's very irritating. Like it's very annoying. Like angkat lah telepon call this call, but yeah, it's annoying. I don't think people prefer to use this anymore. Maybe last time. And also this one also you use this flashing to show that this the your I think this is Samsung. It's charging, it's red, fully charged is green, and there is a notification blue, and low battery, no color at all. Okay, so you can use this to design your UI if it's applicable. And then you use bold. You want to make something stand out. Uh, you can use this on screen report or title and caption, or maybe like if you do payment, right? So you can bold your total to pay. And also underlining. This is a simple way for you to make a text object stand out on a display, and you need to use this sparingly, not all the time, to reduce legibility of your UI design. And then you can also use sound. So sound in UI, usually you use them for error messages, like telling the user that something is wrong, but also depending on the situation. Like if you like send email, if you send email, like the sound is like whoosh, thing like that, right? You have this kind of effect that telling you that the email has been sent. And also error message, like if in Windows, it gives you something what sound like zing, like that. And so those are uh, sound effect that attract the user's attention. So it can be annoying as well. So you can have you can if you like, if you want to enable this in your system in your UI design, you need to also provide a turn off option. Okay, so because your user might not like it, so you can have the turn on option. Okay, and then using colors. Okay, so you use color that stand out from the rest of the system. So color is most effective for you to use when you want to highlight differences between information, like this one for sea level trends, this one for a map of, I'm not sure what is this, wind, but this one. Okay, so it shows it use colors to show you the information. Okay, so it also group information and also provide you with code simple messages, especially for error message. It can draw your attention and it can indicate your the status of your system. So the use of colors, it must confirm the human expectation. So color often have specific meanings depending on the culture. Okay, remember we have discussed about culture last week. So red, it's representing stop. It can be fire, maybe hot or danger. Yellow, you use for caution, please go slow, or representing desert. Green means go, okay, it's clear, vegetation, and it's safe. Blue indicate that it's cold, it's water, it's calm, it's sky, it's neutral. Okay, so based on your user, user your user capabilities or your user background, so you need to use the color according to their expectation. Okay, next is errors. Okay, so for errors we have two types. These are the classification of errors in HCI. For user design we have sleep and we have mistake. So sleep error is when the user understands the system goal and has correct formulation of action. Okay, they already have the goal, they understand the system, they already have the formulation of action, but they did incorrect action. Okay, for example, like they choose quit when the user meant to choose the command next to it, like accidentally pick or click on quit button. And also another one is closing a window when you were meant to resize it. Okay. And that's for sleep, like it's like a mistake. uh, no, the mistake is another one. So sleep is that when you already know what to do, but you did an incorrect action. Okay, you meant to close the window, but you meant to resize the window, but you then pick to close the window. Okay. Another type of error we have mistake. So this is an incorrect action that is taken based on incorrect decision. From the beginning, you already have incorrect decision, like you don't have the right intention for you to proceed with your goal. Okay, so your goal here is to design a name card. Okay, so you design a name card using Microsoft Word. So we all know Microsoft Word is word word processing. It's not for designing. We know it can do that, but in this case, you are using a wrong software to design a name card. You can use maybe we have Illustrator, we have Photoshop, we have other software that is intended for designing name card. Okay, so we have solution for these errors. For sleep, you need to have a better interface design. So here you can provide adequate separation between your elements like your button, your X button, and also your resize button. You provide adequate separation gap within them, and you minimize typing by using menus. Okay, so you use try to use menus, and you provide clear feedback on the system's current state. Okay, so that the user know what to do next. And then mistake, usually how do you tackle this? You need to have a better understanding of a system. If it's you want to use like PowerPoint to design a name card, it's not wrong, okay? But in terms of HCI, the system, PowerPoint is for PowerPoint slide, right? For presentation, it's not for designing, okay? So that's why it's you refer back to the system and refer back to your goal, what you want to do. But of course, you still can design name card using whichever whatever tools that you have, like Word. Also, you can use it to design your name card. There's no problem actually. Okay, but for this HCI, it's just giving you an idea on how you need to understand the use of the system when you want to achieve your goal. Okay, so in this normal model, where does the slip and mistake happen? Okay, so it can happen in when you formulate intention. Okay, it can happen when you formulate intention, like the slip already formulate the intention, and then you specify the actions at the interface, but you execute wrongly. Okay. For mistake, definitely from formulating intention. You have the goal to design the name card, but you do mistakes when you formulate your intention, like what software you want to use. Okay. So for sleep is when you execute action. You already have a correct intention. You already have a specified action for the interface, like you already know where to go. But when you execute the action, you make a mistake. You uh, did an error. Okay. So sleep happen at stage 4, while mistake happen at stage 2. And then we have this error messages design. So according to this researcher, good error messages are explicit. Okay, means you indicate that something has gone wrong, right? So your error message design should tell the user what to do next and what is the error about. Okay, like for this one, this is not helpful at all, right? Like you have an unknown error, so what should I do next? Then I click OK, and I get the error again. So you don't know how to go from there. And unlike this one, so it tells you that this drive Z does not exist, and it gives you the solution. You check the drive and try again. Okay. and also it should be human readable. Your error should be human readable, which is expressed clearly in plain language using words, right? And uses phrases and concepts familiar to the user rather than in system specific terms like this. Okay. So this is like more to like technical terms like could not open the key, what key is this, and then verify that you have sufficient access to that key or contact your support personnel. And then you also don't know who is your support personnel, right? So you need to provide error message that is clear to the user and they know what to do next about the error. Your error also should be polite, okay? Should be precise and constructive. Okay, so when you when you design your error message, you use phrase that does not blame the user or imply that they are either stupid or doing something wrong. You just be polite, like you cannot do this. Okay, like this one. You cannot rename the pictures. Okay, you be polite. It's not you cannot say like you made a stupid rename you made a stupid rename. Okay, maybe you if you do that like that, the user will like of course the user will be like taken aback, right? And then you need to be precise. You describe the exact problem, like you tell the user that you cannot rename the picture because there is another file that has the same name. And then you give a constructive advice, like you give a solution on how to fix the problem. So you give specify a different name. Okay, so these are how you can design your error messages. Okay, so that's all for today's lecture. I hope you all gain new knowledge, and I hope you can apply the knowledge that you learned today to your UI design. Any question?
No.
Pero okay, no question. So far, okay. Ah? Okay. So so I want you all to continue doing your assignment. We are already in week 6, so you should make progress for your assignment so that you don't have last minute work. Okay. So if you have no more question, I'll let you go do your things now. But you only left the session mid session at 3:50. Can you do that?
Okay.
Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your attendance and your attention to the lecture today. I will share the recording after it's available. Thank you. Bye, Noel. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.